Actually, good morning, everyone.
Good
Good
morning,
morning,
Rabbi.
Rabbi.
We are learning Mishnah Eruvin, Perik Vav, chapter 6, Mishnah Beis, Mishnah 2. Now, the previous Mishnah was discussing, or we mentioned the halacha, that if a guy lives together with, let's say the halacha, following the halacha, there's one guy with two Jews in a chatzer, that even if the two Jews make an Erev Chatzeres, the guy is going to forbid them to use the chatzer unless they rent his usage from them. They rent his usage of the courtyard.
And this is not verbal.
Whatever it is. Now, Mishnah Beis. Now the next discussion is going to be, the Mishnah discussed before a guy. The Mishnah discussed a kusi. Kusi has the same halacha like a guy. And now the Mishnah is going to discuss a tzeduki, a Sadducee. Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
The Tzedukim were a sect of Jews, the times of the second Beis Hamikdash, who accepted the Torah Shebiksav, the written law, but not Torah Shebal Peh, or any of the decrees of the Chachamim. So the question is going to be in our Mishnah, what status does a Tzeduki have? Is a Tzeduki, and again, a Tzeduki is very similar to a Kusi in the sense that we had the Kusi was called, in the previous Mishnah, was called someone who does not accept the laws of Eruvin. The Kusim didn't because it was rabbinic, and the Tzedukim didn't because it's rabbinic. But for some reason, although the Kusim clearly were treated like non-Jews, because I guess maybe because of their background, they're questionable, the background, they're questionable Geras. A Tzeduki who are clearly Jews, there was a machlokes about an argument about what status they have. So the Mishnah, as the Torah points out from the Gemara, our Mishnah is missing words right away. And what we are missing in the beginning of the Mishnah is the fact that I'll read to you from here. They bring that from the Gemara. The opening statement of the Mishnah is missing. It should say, a tzeduki is like an idolater and prohibits Jews from carrying in his courtyard or alley. Gamliel says a tzeduki is not like an idolater, and that's what you have to add to the Mishnah. And what we read in the Mishnah now is a continuation from that. The Mishnah really opens with a machlokes. Is a tzeduki? Tanakama would say a tzeduki is like a guy. Gamliel says a tzeduki is not like a guy. Now, it's also important to bear in mind for our Mishnah, just for the understanding of the Mishnah, is that, we've been talking about a chatzer. And we've mentioned this many times before. You have two Jews who are living in a chatzer. They can't carry into the chatzer unless they make an Erev Chatzeres. If there are a number of chatzeres that are open to the mavi, to the alleyway that leads into the Rishus Harabim, although the alleyway could halachically be a Rishus Hayachid, also a private domain, it also, similar to the Chatzer, needs an Erev of sorts. It also needs some way that everybody kind of combines together, all the Chatzeres combine together so that they not can now use the alleyway, the same way the houses have to combine together to use the courtyard. And the same way a non-Jew is going to forbid the courtyard, he's going to forbid the alleyway unless you rent it from him. So now the question, and the case now that Tzeduki that we're going to talk about, practically speaking, the case had to do with an alleyway. So Amar Rambam Gamliel said, "Ma'aseh b'tzeduki echad shayadari imana b'bavish b'Yerushalayim." There was a tzeduki who used to live with us in the mavoi, in the alleyway in Yerushalayim. V'amar lanu Abba, and father said to us. Now again, this is Rambam Gamliel. This is Rambam Gamliel of the Mishnah. It was Rambam Gamliel. They see here on the bottom. This was Rambam Gamliel, who lived after the destruction, shortly after the destruction of the first Beis Hamikdash, or who was Nasi at least, who was head of the Jew, who was the prince of the Jewish people, shortly after the destruction of the second Beis Hamikdash. His father was Reb Shimon ben Gamliel, who was the Nasi, the prince, shortly before the destruction of the second Beis Hamikdash. So when this Tzeduki was living in our neighborhood, and basically, and we had to deal with the alleyway because of him, what did our father say? Our father said, "V'amar lanu Abba." Father said, "Maharu, hurry, v'hitzu es hakelim lemavui, and take out the vessels into the alleyway, achela yotzi, before he takes something out, v'yasar aleichem, and forbids it on you." There's a lot more that what's going on to this Mishnah than what the Mishnah says. And some of these halachas I'm mentioning will be clarified more as we go on. But in this case, of the point Rambam Gamliel is going to be that he was trying to show from his father's statement, at least the way he remembered the statement, was that this Stuki is considered a Jew. Now, why? Now, the thing is that Shimon Gamliel said, hurry up and take the vessels out into the alleyway before he takes something out and makes things forbidden on you. The halacha is like this. If you have, as I said, you have a number of Jews sharing a chutzner, they have to make an erev chatzeris in order to be able to utilize the chutzner. Let's say one Jew did not participate in the erev chatzeris. For whatever reason, he didn't participate. So if you've got one person, now, so that means now that basically your chutzner is still a public area, right? The whole point is that we want everyone together. If one Jew stands out from everyone, it's like two Jews. So he's going to mess you up. But what the Jew can do is he can be mavatal his rishus. That means he can say, I give up my usage of the courtyard. I give up my usage of the courtyard. My share of the courtyard, I give it up. I give it up and it all becomes yours. Okay. So he can do that. And when he does that, the halacha is that now the erev chatzeris can work. However, let's say this Jew himself, who didn't participate in the chatzer and who was mavatal rishus, who gave up his control or his domain, take something out of his house into the chatzer. Not supposed to do that.
Right.
Not allowed to do that. Let's say he does.
Yeah.
By doing that, what he's saying is, I want my usage back.
Mm-hmm.
And then he takes it back. And then he messes everything up again.
Messes it for everybody.
Yeah, messes up for everybody again.
Okay.
So now it seems, and again, this is something that it comes out from this. So Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, by the fact that the way that Rabbi Gamliel tells the story, that he said, hurry and take your utensils out to the alleyway before he takes something out, means to say like this. This Saduki apparently was a guy, he wanted to get along with everybody. And even though he was a Saduki and didn't believe in Erevin, he told them, all right, I'll do you guys a favor. I'll be mavatal my rishus. He told me he'd be mavatal rishus. I'm mavatal my rishus. Mm-hmm. And he was serious, He decided he didn't want to mess things up for anybody else. You don't want to mess their Shabbos up. He was mavatal his rishus. Good, right? The problem is, though, that they knew this guy is going to take something out on Shabbos. He's going to take it out. And he's going to mavatal the whole thing. He's going to mess up the whole thing. So Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, according to this version, Rabbi Shimon Gamliel told them, this is what you need to do before he can mess you up. What you have to do is, you have to go ahead and before Shabbos, this is what he's telling, before Shabbos, take whatever you need take out the vessels and put them in the alleyway. Meaning everybody should basically take hold of the alleyway, so to speak, and put their vessels down in there, which means they're before Shabbos actively using the alleyway, so that when he tries to mess it up, it won't help. Mm-hmm. By taking the vessels out into the alleyway, that says that they're all taking possession of the alleyway. Taking possession of it. We're taking possession of the alleyway. You were mavatal rishus. We're taking care of the alleyway. You can't affect this alleyway. We're basically, by doing this, they all kind of acquire it to the point that he cannot mess up the rishus. Now, if this is that was the version Rabbi Gamliel said. Her father said, take the vessels into the alleyway before he takes something out. That means the concern was that he's going to take something out. That means that this Saduki had the ability to be mevatel rishus, to give up his domain, his usage of the alleyway, and take it back. And he would take it back if he would take something out on Shabbos. So he told them, okay, we got to do something to prevent this problem. What do we do before Shabbos? Take the vessels out, put it in the alley. Excuse me. Before Shabbos, take the vessels out into the alleyway. By doing so, we acquire the alleyway, and he can't mess us up, even when he tries to take back his domain. But if we have to go through all this bother, then what status does this Saduki apparently have? Of a Jew. Because if he'd be a guy, then number one, this whole thing wouldn't be relevant. A guy cannot be mavatal his rishus. The guy we know messes things up for you, right? If he's there, he's going to mess up erev chatzeris. If he says, I give up my usage, doesn't help. The only way to deal with the guy is if you rent it from him, and he can't just give it up. So the fact that we had to go through this whole process of being concerned that Tzeduki would take something out and mess up his Bittul Rishus and do something to make sure that doesn't happen, means that the Tzeduki was a Jew. And that is the support from Gamliel's opinion. And therefore, a Tzeduki in your courtyard doesn't mess things up, doesn't make it forbidden to use the courtyard like a guy, but, he's like another Jew there. That's the version of the story according to Rabban Gamliel. Okay, now, 1 second, please. Okay, now, Rabbi Yehuda Omer b'lashon acher. Rabbi Yehuda told the story differently. He had a different version. What does Rabban Gamliel say? Maru v'asu tzarcheichem b'mavli asher lo yotzi v'yasar aleichem. Quickly do all your needs in the alleyway before Shabbos begins, and the Tzeduki makes everything usher for you. Just 1 second. Okay. I was just wondering about that word Atshelo Yotzi, which was the same word as before, and before it meant to carry out, and it has nothing to do with carrying out. According to this version, the point was like this: hurry and take care of your needs in the alleyway before Shabbos begins, and he makes everything usher. Now, according to that version, Rabban Gamliel was saying, if you need anything to do in the alleyway, but if you're going to need any vessels in the alleyway for Shabbos, you better take them out now. Because when Shabbos begins, the alleyway is going to become forbidden. Why? Why? Because he's a guy. He's like a guy. Right? It wasn't about the point. It wasn't in the first version. It was quickly take the kalim into the mavli. In this version, it's take care of your needs in the mavli. Because the point was you weren't going to be able to take any, because there was nothing you can do about this guy. He was a guy. They didn't rent the rishus from him, and apparently he didn't cooperate with that about renting the alleyway. And therefore he said, look, if you're going to need anything in the court in the alleyway on Shabbos, take it out now, because you can't bring it out on Shabbos. Because if you don't take it out before Shabbos, you're not going to be able to, because he's going to make the alleyway forbidden. According to this version, the Tzeduki is not a Jew, he's a guy. Because it wasn't about the point, like, do something to stop, like they say. He didn't tell them, take your kalim out before Shabbos. But I'm sorry, he didn't say, in the first version, he said, take out the kalim to the mavli. And here it was, hurry and take care of your needs in the mavli. And that understanding is the first version, that's a way of saying, hurry and take out your kalim. Put your kalim, that was very specifically, put the kalim there. And that meant because you want the kalim to do something. In the second version, it's like, look, take care of whatever you got to do before Shabbos now. Because you can't do it on Shabbos. There's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do. Yeah. And even if it has nothing to do whether he's taking something out, not taking something out. It's all about take care of your needs before Shabbos. Mm-hmm. And therefore, because once Shabbos begins, he's going to make everything usher. That's like a guy. If the guy is there and there was no rental of his usage, he's going to make it forbidden no matter what. So according to that version, according to Rabbi Yehuda's version, Rabbi Shimon Gamliel was actually saying he's a guy. Not like Rabbi Gamliel. Mm-hmm. Let me just see here if there says anybody who the halacha follows. I don't see it, but I'm assuming the halacha is retreat. Yeah, I'm sorry. Bartunura says like this. Psak halacha. Shkol Yisrael shemachal Shabbos farhesia harehu kai bekachavim ve'avin imay batel rishus l'seichem en k'derech shleichem en akum. All right, not as simple. The Bartunura says like this. If you have somebody who publicly desecrates Shabbos, he is treated like a non-Jew for Erevin. And therefore, you're going to have to go ahead and rent his usage. Now, Rabbi Shabbos for Hesia, somebody who does keep Shabbos in public, even though sometimes privately he will desecrate, And he doesn't even accept the laws of Erev. Like the Sadducees in our days, which he probably means the Karaites. Shabbos, they keep Shabbos. They don't accept Erev. Okay, so you don't make the Erev with him. But that much he can do, he can give up his domain without renting it from him, as long as he is not an idol worshiper. So it seems like, again, it seems that you've got, he says that Tzedukim Bizman Hazeh, that keep Shabbos, but they don't accept Erev. So you don't include him in the Erev, which means he is going to mess things up, but he could be Mavatal his Rishus. It's interesting. Okay, that's about Nura says La Halacha. Okay, have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you, Rabbi.
That's a bit confusing.